Hello, today we are going to change the throttle cable for your scooter, and in this video we'll show you how. Okay, today we're going to change the cable throttle for your scooter. This was 450cc GY6 scooter. This one is a 78 inches cable, and it lasts pretty long time. You know, if you take care of the throttle cable for a while, it's going to last at least 10,000, 15,000 miles. It's pretty good quality, and I'm really surprised of the quality for this kind of scooters. But once in a while you have to remember that you have to put a little silicone spray inside the tube, but you have to make a little lubrification. If you don't do every 3 months, you can do every 6 months, but sometimes you have to spread a little love to these cables. If you do not do that, after a while inside, the water goes inside, condensation goes inside, they will become rusty, and your cable sooner or later is going to snap, and it's a not very good feeling. Okay, it's not really good feeling because you're there and you're turning and your cable break and you have a little big problem because you cannot go nowhere. Okay, so feel free sometime to give a little love to these cables and spray a little silicone. Okay, to change this cable right here takes a little long time, okay, because there is a lot of body work right here on the scooters, on the GY6. You have to remove the mirror, unfortunately. You have to remove the front nose of your scooter. You have to remove a lot of screws. Okay, so it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a while, at least an hour, to remove something like that. But if you do it by yourself, it's not going to take you a lot of money to do it, because you know a lot of scooter places, they charge you $60 an hour, $50 an hour, and that is a lot of money. Now, if you have a day off and you can do it yourself, why not? Okay. All right, let's start to do this replacement right now. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do, we have to remove all these parts right here. Unfortunately, the scooters, to get here where is the throttle cable, you have to remove the whole nose, because if not, you cannot go there with a screwdriver and release the cable. Okay, so to remove this part right here, we have one screw right underneath the nose, and you have 4 screws right here on the driver's side, plus you have to remove the mirror too. Okay, so it's gonna take a little time because there is a lot of part to be moved. Okay, so let's start. We're going to remove first underneath the long screws and underneath the nose right here, and for that one you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver. Let's say this one is the long screw that's underneath the part of your scooter right here underneath the nose. Now, after you remove that one, on the driver's side you have 4 screws. On the part of the driver's side right here, you have 1 screw right here, 1 screw right here, and you have 2 screws underneath. Okay? Take your time. Don't rush yourself, because everything in this scooter is made of plastic, so it can break easily. Okay, those are very small screws. Put it in a capper or in a place where you're going to remember where all these screws are going to go. Okay, now down here you have 2 screws. Now this one, they're going to release the front part, but you have to remove the mirrors too. Okay, so at this point we're going to remove the mirror right here. To remove the mirror, you're going to need an Allen wrench that is number 6, and I can remove both mirrors right here. Now sometimes this part right here, the screws, they get rusty, so you can spray a little bit of W40 right here to get these screws loosen up a little bit. Or sometimes you can even change those screws after a while, after a few years, because they get really bad. So you just buy a new one, replace them, and it's a lot better. Now after you unscrew this one, you can keep it inside here so you don't lose this long screw. Okay, be careful, because right here there is a lot of wires that they go to your light over here at the mirror, so make sure you don't break them, but you're gonna disconnect it, because when you open up the front part of the nose, you're going to disconnect these lines. Okay, but the best way to remember where all the wiring is gonna go, if you take a picture with your phone to the wiring, so to make sure later you're going to put the same wire in the same location where it was before, because if you mix it together, your lights are not going to respond the right way. Okay, so there might be a reverse. Okay, so this point you remove one, you have to remove the other one. Make sure all those lines are not breaked. Okay, so at this point leave the screw, large screw inside there, so you're not going to lose it. And at this point, if it wants to come out, just get it out. Okay, this is the long screw of your mirror. At this point you can get the nose out, but first you have to remove right here the brake. There is a little door. This door has a little screw right here that is a Phillips screwdriver you're going to need to remove this little door. Like you see, there is a lot of little things in this scooter to remove to do just one job. Okay, so this one right here, that's the little part that is the brake, and you can remove this one from the right side. Okay, one part and then the other one. You have two sides. Right here there is another one on the left side. Now sometimes they have a screw on top and they also have a screw underneath. Okay, many times, so you have to remove first one and then the other one, because if you try to pull this one out, it will break, because there is one screw underneath that you don't see, but it's underneath there. So if you pull this one out, it's going to break the plastic underneath. Okay, this is the part on the left side. Make sure you put this plastic part with the screw all together so you're not going to lose it. Okay, and you know where it's gonna go there later, because sometimes these parts, they have a larger screw or a bigger screw or a smaller screw. If you flip them around, the screws, you will break a plastic piece. Okay, that is kind of hard to find. Okay, unless you buy a new scooter. Okay, now at this point, after you remove all the screws, you can start to pull the front part of your scooter right here. The nose, you can pull it out. Now, if you cannot, or if you don't have to remove the wiring of the mirror, is a lot better. If you really have to, or by mistake they are getting disconnected, you have a problem. But if you don't have to remove them, it's a lot better. Now you can keep it like that if you like. You can put it right here, so you don't have to remove all the wirings. Those wiring are very delicate. Okay, if you break those wire, if you squeeze those wire, you have a problem. So right after you open up the front part of your scooter, you're going to see a lot of little things. At the moment, what you're going to need is going to be right here, the throttle cable right here underneath. But to remove this one, first you have to pull this part out so you can release the cable from underneath and inside. So you have two screws. One screw is right here and one screw is on the inside. But first you have to open up this one, so it's going to kind of release this part out a little bit. Okay, sometimes these screws, they get a little bit of rusty, so you can put a little W40 or some kind of like oily product that is going to make this screw move a little bit. Okay, but if not, if you do not need to remove. Now, if you don't need to put any oil or nothing to remove a screw, don't put any oil around here, please, because it's not good for the inside, for the cable, okay? Okay, after you remove this screw, you can come out with a little bit with this one. So you have to make sure that this part will come out. If you can, kind of allow yourself to open this part a little bit of this way, push a little bit if you can, and unscrew the screw that is inside. Now, unfortunately, to remove the cable, you have to open up this part right here. So you have to remove these two screws and you have to open up this. Now right here, you're going to see the throttle cable. Okay. Here you have your grip. Okay. This one is time to change them. I think they're getting a little older, and when they're getting a little slippery, you know, like that, very shiny and slippery, it's time to change them. Okay. Plus, you can see the plastic right here. It's not really in a good condition. So very soon I'm gonna make another video that I'm going to change these grips. Okay, I'm gonna put something a little fancier. Okay, now this is the little part that you have your cable housing. Okay, and this is the other part. Now, when you remove your grip, at that point, you're going to release the cable. Now what you're going to do right there, you're going to unscrew this part right here. Okay, so you're going to have your cable reveal for you. This one is the cable with the connection. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to play a little trick and I show you what we're going to do. Okay, at this point, after you remove all the things over there, right here with the cable, you release the cable and you remove everything, you have to open your seat. After you open your seat, you just unscrew your fuel cap. And you have to remove the inside of your scooter. Removing the inside of the scooter, you take one bolt right here, one bolt right here, and two bolts at the end. Okay, to remove all those 4 bolts, you need a 10mm socket, okay? I always keep it without bolts because I always go in and out. Remove everything, put it on the side, away from your scooter, okay? So you're not going to step on it. At that point, you're going to see the inside of your scooter. After you open up your scooter, you're going to see your carburetor, your filter, and the manifold right here. Now you have to release your carburetor and kind of do this movement, get them up and up, upside down, okay? So you're going to release the cable from the carburetor, okay? So right here, you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver for the front part of the manifold. And at your filter, usually you have like a flat screwdriver to remove the back part. Because if you don't remove the back part, you're not going to be able to turn the carburetor upside down. Now, this work is going to take you a while to do it, but you know, take your time. Don't rush yourself. You know, do this job when you're off. You know, when you're not working, because you don't want to do this job when you're rushing yourself, okay? Rushing yourself, you always can hurt yourself, okay? You don't want to hurt yourself, so you want to be calm when you do these kind of jobs. This one is my filter with a manifold. This one is like a curve that is a knee curve. This kind of curve helps the scooter to breathe a lot better, okay? Now after you remove the the filter, you can get the carburetor out. Make sure that the band right here at the manifold is nice and unscrewed, so it's gonna let your carburetor go. Now to remove this carburetor, kind of twist a little bit, okay? You're gonna do like this movement right here, okay? Don't be impatient, be patient and take your time, okay? Because Chinese people are genius and they didn't give us a lot of room. Okay, so just little by little you can get this part out, okay? You don't really need to flip it over, you just need to be on the side of the carburetor right here so you can see where is the cable, okay? Now at this point, what you're gonna do, you're gonna turn right here, you're gonna turn this part of the carburetor, hold it with your finger and you get this part out from the carburetor, okay? This is the last part of your cable right here. So right here, this is the last part of the cable. Now this part right here, there is two nuts right here, see? Now move the front nut right here with the key or with something like that, with like a plier, or you can use like a key. This is a 12 millimeter. You can use a key to open up this part. So there is two nuts, okay? Just remove the one that is on the bottom, okay? On the right side. Remove all the way. All the way, okay? When you remove this cable all the way, all these nuts right here all the way, okay. At this point you're gonna pull the cable from the back, right here the connection, and you're going to get the cable out from the carburetor, okay? At this point, this cable right here is free. Now, leave your carburetor alone, just let it sit on the bottom. And now we're going to go in the front where we was before at the handlebar. Then we're gonna play a little trick with the cables. Okay, right after you remove the cable from the carburetor, at this point we can open up the new throttle cable. Okay, right here. Fancy, fancy, look at that, huh? This is a brand new cable for your scooter. Now, right here, that's the part that has to go at your throttle, right here. This part right here, that's the part that goes at your carburetor, okay? If you look at them, they're different, okay? This one has a little part right here that is different. This one is got the connection right here that is different, that you can open up. I can put some lubrication inside the cable when you need it. And this one, you can regulate the gap of your throttle, okay? This one is to regulate. Now, there is an easy trick to pass this cable through your scooter. Make sure you untie everything, okay? Make sure the cable is nice and long, okay? Make sure there is not any squeeze part on the cable, okay? So make sure your cable is nice and straight. Okay, this one is the part that goes to your carburetor. This one is the part that you want to pass through and go to your carburetor, okay? So To pass this part that goes to the carburetor, you take this one in your hand and you connect it right here to the old one with a piece of electrical tape, okay? You get this part right here and you get this part right here. You can put it right there, okay? Kind of straight, okay? One on top of the other one, okay? So this one is a very crucial thing that you can do to pass the cable through. Now make sure you put them like that. This is the part that is going to go to your carburetor. How you know that? Because there is a little piece of rubber right here. That is the part that goes to the carburetor, okay? Now what you're gonna do, you're just going to wrap it up with tape, like this electrical tape, okay? Don't worry, later you're gonna remove the tape, so you don't have to put like a pound and a half of tape. You're only gonna put like a little bit of tape. Snap it at the end and you can put a little tape right here, okay? Make sure it's nice and tight together with the other cable, okay? So if you put it together nice and tight with the other cable, when you pull the cable, you're going to be okay. It's not going to get stuck anywhere. That's how I want you to connect the two cables together, the new one and the old one, okay? This is the new and that's the old cable. Now what we're gonna do, we're going to go again from the side of your carburetor. Now at this time you try to pull this cable right here that is coming from the front part of your scooter, and try to pull, okay, slightly. If it doesn't come, because many times it's getting stuck somewhere, so if it comes normally, that's perfect. If not, unfortunately you have to open the front part of your scooter and find a way why your cable doesn't come, okay? So for sure your cable is stuck somewhere and you need to make sure that the cable is going to go through. Now to open the front part of your scooter, you just have to remove two screws right here. And sometimes you have to remove the other two. But in this scooter, you only have to remove two. So you remove the nose of your scooter. So to remove the front part of your scooter, you have two screws on the driver's side and your two screws down here. So at this point you can remove the nose of your scooter, just wiggle it out, and you're going to see all the cables right here, all the wirings and the cables. Now right here I want you to check where is the cable that goes to the throttle, okay? because you have to go through with this cable and try to pull it from the cable at the carburetor. Okay, after you remove all the parts that is in front of the scooter, to make sure the wire throttle cable is not going to be get stuck somewhere, you go inside where is your carburetor again, you grab the old cable and you start to pull. And right here, this is the cable that we find in the front. We tie it up with a little bit of the tape, like electrical tape, and pulling the one in the back is going to go through. Now sometimes it's not going to go through and you have to help yourself opening up maybe some body parts, okay, of the scooter. The body part of the scooter, maybe on the left side, that's where the cable goes through. But if your cable will come from the front to the back, tie it up to the old cable, you're going to be okay. Now this one is one way. The other way is just to remove all the parts and release the cable. Now in Italy what they do, they cut the old cable inside and they pass a new cable inside the old tube, okay? So right after you pass this cable, just remove all the electrical tape that you put on it. Okay, right after you pass the cable from the front to the back, pull in the old cable. What you have to do now, you have to put this one to your carburetor, the connection of your throttle cable. Now, first of all, let's put this connection right here, the top of your throttle cable right here. And you make it round, okay? You go around. After, you pull it in, okay? And you go right here, inside here. Now try to put the side of this cable right here going left, okay? You go this way because you don't want to bother anything else that is on around the carburetor. Now after that you can tie this nut, okay? The front nut and the back nut, but try to stay in the middle, okay? This one is a 12 millimeter. What you're gonna do, you're just gonna tighten it, okay? Make sure you block it nice and tight, okay? After that you can put the rubber back right here. There is a piece of rubber right here. You can put it right here. Okay. Right here we are done with the carburetor. Make sure you put all the, all the connection the right way on your carburetor, your fuel line and your vacuum line. Make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be and the way it was before, okay? Okay, right here you can put the carburetor inside, wiggle it inside your manifold and put it inside. Take your time, no rush, okay? Okay, right here that's the cable from the front that you're gonna pull a little bit on the front, okay? Try to go not above this bar right here, but with the throttle cable try to go underneath, okay? Okay, you want to make a nice U shape. You don't want to make corners with this kind of hose with this throttle cable. Don't make corners, don't squeeze it. Has to be a nice curve. Okay, right after you place this one here, you can put the filter back. Make sure you tight your filter so you're not gonna lose it when you're riding, okay? Tight your filter and tight the front part of your filter, that is the manifold. If you forget to tight this part and the carburetor that goes disconnected, you're going to whack, okay? Because this one will not transfer the fuel to your motor. So make sure it's nice and tight. Make sure it's nice and tight, but not too tight, because if it's too tight, the rubber will squeeze out your carburetor, okay? Okay, back here we are done. We finished this part right here. The cable is passed through and all the connections are connected, okay? Keep an eye, make sure you have the vacuum line right here, the connector is connected, your fuel line is connected, okay? This part right here, you can close it. You're finished at the moment. Okay, right after you finish inside the back to connect your cable, throttle cable, you can put the front part of your scooter back right here. Make sure you're nice and gentle, okay? Because if you're not gentle, those are pieces of plastic and they break easily. So kind of put in place, but rub it a little bit to make sure that you put everything in place in the right place, okay? Now you have to put back two screw right here underneath and two screws on the driver's side, okay? You can place the screws underneath right here. After this part is in place, you can start to work on your cable right here. Right here you have the new cable right here. I'm slightly gonna push it inside a little bit, because it has to go right here. That's the place, has to go right here. So at this point you're gonna need the lower part of the casing of your throttle, that is right here, and you're gonna put it right here and screw it in, okay? You have to screw the part in like that. This is the part of the body of the throttle, okay? Now when you're here, you have to get this part right here inside here, okay? So this one can do this move right here, okay? So with the little small nose plier, the best one is to get some plier like that and just size it to the right side, you know, to get this little part right here. When you get this part out, you want to place it inside here, okay? You're gonna place it inside here. Okay, at this point you can place this one inside right here, okay? And you can put the two screws right here. You can place this one right here on the top, okay? And you're gonna squeeze it. Now you're gonna start to screw this part right here. And put the throttle kind of close, okay? to make sure this part right here, there is a knob right here, there's nut right here, has to be underneath here. Okay, so that's it right here. Okay, now it looks better. Now you can put this one inside and put this cable straight. Make sure you tie this part right here, the throttle, very nicely, okay? Because you don't want this part, when you turn your throttle, that this part is going to turn. So that should not be happening, okay? So make sure you tighten it very nicely, okay? Make sure you tighten it, make sure you try that, you know, the throttle is not stuck. Make sure the throttle is turning freely, okay? You want to make sure that this part right here, the throttle, is turning freely. So try a few times. Cannot get stuck. If you get stuck, you have a problem, okay? Okay, right after you finish to replace your cable, make sure everything is nice and tight. At that point, you can place everything back. The nose of your scooter, the 2 screws on the driver's side, the screw on the bottom, and the 2 mirrors. Okay, so make sure, if you have any question, feel free to ask. Subscribe to my channel and click that like at any time. And please be safe, okay? Thank you.